Alright, so we recently found out that there will be no playable elites or dual wielding in Halo Infinite. We got some more positive news as well, like how each cutscene will be in-engine and the time of day will actually reflect in the cutscenes, stuff like that I really am excited to hear about. But because I'm me, I'm not focusing on the positives in this video, I'm focusing on the things that people are sort of upset about. I'm in an interesting position here because I am a really big fan of dual wielding and I would love to see it properly balanced, but I don't really care about playable elites, so let's start there. No playable elites in Halo Infinite's multiplayer is just not a big deal to me. In fact, I'm a little happy, and this is where this video is going to get several dislikes, but I encourage you to hear me out. I know that the elites essentially have the same hitbox as a Spartan, and that's totally fine, but their silhouette is drastically different. I sometimes have trouble tracking elites in multiplayer just due to where their head is on their model. The hitbox can be the same all it wants to be, but the model is different. I've seen people saying that they should have no elites in ranked play, but they should have it in social playlists because, you know, it should just be fun and people can have whatever fun they want to have. And I think partly this is due to just how sweaty every game has gotten in the last several years. There really isn't a bad Halo player anymore. If you're a Halo player and you've been a Halo player, you likely are pretty good. You know, Twitchitis has sort of swept the nation and everybody wants to do well. Everybody wants to get clips. Everybody wants to be montage material when they hop into an online game. To a lot of people, elites being in the multiplayer would have meant more casual multiplayer, less competitively minded and more just for having fun, and that would have been really cool for many people, and I am sorry we're not getting playable elites. Truth be told though, I do not like fighting them. In my return to Halo over the last month, playing online matches and shit, I really just don't enjoy fighting them. A Spartan silhouette is much easier to see their head, especially when they're like not facing you, because I just have trouble hitting those damn Heelys in the back of the head when they're walking away from me or if they're jumping across my screen, and maybe that's all in my head and maybe I could just get used to it, but the idea of no playable elites doesn't really bug me. I would love to see a big team battle variant where it's humans versus aliens, one side is Spartans, one side is elites. I would actually love that. One side would start with, you know, needlers, carbines, plasma rifles, plasma grenades, and the other side has, of course, battle rifles, DMRs, whatever guns that the UNSC uses in Halo Infinite. I don't really know all of them yet, but I think it would be kind of cool to have just humans versus aliens for a novelty, more casual game mode. I think that'd be pretty popular. I do see people saying that no playable elites is unacceptable, and I understand where you're coming from. A lot of people have wanted playable elites ever since they left the scene, but that doesn't really make it unacceptable. To some people, the inconsistencies in the models is unacceptable, and they don't really want to have to go from fighting an elite to a Spartan, especially in a 2v1 situation. So, while that's not the end of the world, and it's not as hard as maybe I'm making it sound, it's understandable that some people wouldn't like that. And I'm not just saying that because that's my opinion, it's just a pretty good argument for Halo. Kind of a game built on consistency in its multiplayer. You notice how we all start with the same weapons unless we're playing Fiesta in Halo? Yeah, so maybe we should all start with the same player model sizes as well? Obviously both sides of the argument have merit, and I understand why people want playable elites, but I'm gonna move on to dual wielding because this is my actual sore spot. I would have loved to hear that 343 figured out how to balance dual wielding. Dual wielding's hard. Certain weapons that can be dual wielded would have to be nerfed in order to work in a dual wield setting. Like, you can't have a strong dual wieldable sidearm because if it's dual wielded, are you doubling its damage? Are you adding 50% more damage? If you have to nerf the guns when they are dual wielded, then you're basically just doing it for appearances. And if the guns are bad and require dual wielding, well, that might not be so bad. See, my thinking is that you could have weapons that are sort of weak, but when dual wielded, they make a lot of sense. And dual wielding, traditionally in Halo, takes away your ability to melee without dropping one of the weapons. It also takes away your ability to throw grenades without dropping one of the weapons. They could develop a pistol that goes along with the Magnum that's much weaker but fires a lot faster. I think we're gonna see a new pistol called the Sidekick in Halo Infinite, but a pistol that is sort of weaker than a Magnum, but when dual wielded, you get a lot of nice firepower out there. Or you could have an SMG that's really accurate, but when dual wielded, you just get more fire output, but with much less accuracy and a shit ton of bloom. Like, I feel like that's doable and it wouldn't break the entirety of the game. Now, Call of Duty to Halo is not a comparison I want to make, but in Call of Duty, when you dual wield pistols, or back in the day when you could dual wield like P90s in Modern Warfare 2, you lost the ability to aim down sight, you lost the ability to laser people at a distance, you lost the ability to do mid-range combat, but up close, you were a DPS powerhouse. You could even have these two hypothetical SMGs that are good by themselves or a good dual wielded have one on one side of the map and one on the other. That way, if the enemy grabs the SMG and comes and tries to kill you, you kill them, you grab theirs, then go grab yours, and then you have them dual wielded. You kind of have this dynamic where you can accidentally feed them a close range power weapon. And I'm sorry, because I don't see anybody using the plasma pistol to actually pepper people with the plasma bolts, dual wielding the plasma pistol with like a sidekick in Halo Infinite, that would be fun. I'm sorry, maybe it's cheesy, but I've always thought that'd be fun. Again, you lose your ability to nade without dropping the gun, you lose your ability to melee without dropping the gun, you're really good at noob comboing, but that's about it. And you don't have to have the guns spawn right next to each other. You might have to, spawn with the pistol and then go find the plasma pistol. You don't have to have them right next to each other and say, hey, come dual wield me, it's a fun gimmick. It could be a fun dynamic. Playable Elites comes down to aesthetics and casual versus consistency, whereas dual wielding is something that, if perfected, could add a lot to the game, and it not being there leaves a bit of a hole in my heart. Halo is the only shooter I play where you can mix and match your dual wielded weapons, and that has just been gone since Halo 3, and I know it introduces balancing issues. But what about the campaign? How about on any difficulty lower than heroic, you're able to dual wield weapons? Going to heroic and legendary would require you to use a skull in order to run dual wielded weapons. So yes, they might shred enemies too fast, but you can't use them on harder difficulties unless you activate a skull, and maybe that removes some of your score, similar to how some skulls work in Halo MCC. I don't know. I would love to see them actually figure this shit out instead of saying it's not happening. I don't want to dual wield Halo CE style magnums, but God, in the campaign at least, I'd love to be able to like hip fire 2 different assault rifles. I would love to be able to dual wield those awesome sidekick pistols. I want to see that. So in my opinion, it's a huge miss, and it's funny that most people think that dual wielding is incredibly imbalanced and could never be fixed, when my thinking is, it's not what we've seen, it's what we could see. The implementation could have been improved and expanded upon, but Playable Elites, in my opinion, is like, okay, everyone's gonna have a very similar view model other than slightly different sized armors. I'm okay with that. This is a whole gameplay mechanic that is now going to be missing. If I get anything wrong or you're mad at me, let me know in the comment section below. This is just my opinion on this. I don't care too much about playable character models, but I really do care about missing gameplay mechanics that I've wanted to see improved and balanced for a long time. My dog is barking in the background, so I am going to go. See you when I see you.